ready for on air.
Good evening. Chair sees a quorum and calls this meeting of the Whitestown Town Council to order at 7:01. If you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. Now we'll have a roll call of members.
Councilman Worrell, Councilman Miller, Councilman Baum,
Howdy.
Councilwoman Austin,
Present.
Councilman Wishick.
Here. All right, thank you, everyone. Next, are there any adjustments to be made to the agenda at this time? Seeing none, I'll offer a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion a second. Further discussion? Hearing none.
We're not getting any video to the Zoom feed.
Let's finish with the motion on the table to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. We're good now? All right. Technical difficulties conquered. Good work, team. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to presentations. We have the Reed Financial Group here to present on our Q3 debt policy report. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mason Cochran with Reedy Financial Group. As you guys know, we're working with S&P on keeping the town's credit rating good. This is one of the policies that you implemented to help the credit agencies look more favorably on you when you're getting a rating, issuing debt to help keep your interest rates low. So this is just a report that shows you all of the town's currently outstanding debts. If you take a look at page 1, you'll see the town's debt capacity. You have a capacity to issue $5.4 million of general obligation bonds. You currently still have over $3 million of that left over. So you're doing very well on that front, not maxing it out. If you look at page 2, you'll see a list of all of the town's outstanding bonds, totaling about $49 million in principal. Page 3, you'll see the town's outstanding leases, totaling almost $38 million. And on the final page, the town has some outstanding bond anticipation notes of about $7.5 million.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions?
Questions on the debt management report?
No.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the Clerk Treasurer's report. Any questions on the town management report or the municipal utilities management report? Okay, seeing none, department reports. Any questions for department heads on their reports? I just want to make a note thanking department heads for their work. As we are here in October, we are only 2 months away from the end of the year. Appreciate the work that's put in so far. As you'll see from our consent agenda, a lot of that is coming from department heads and the work that they're doing and moving forward on their goals that they set for us at the beginning of the year. So it's great to see this continued work and activity from them. So thank you, department heads. Next, we have public requests to speak on non-agenda items. Nathan, do we have anyone that is requested to speak on a non-agenda item?
I have no one on the Zoom.
All right, anyone in the hall here to speak on a non-agenda item? All right, Nathan, do we have anyone that is requested to speak on agenda items, just so I can be aware as we move forward the agenda?
No one at this time.
All right, thank you for that. Moving on, we'll go to the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, which includes item number A, approval of meeting minutes from September 8th, 2021. B, claims September 2021 expenses town, September 2021 revenues town, September utility claims, which includes water operating and wastewater operating. C, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $8,000, landscaping and Main Street parking islands. D, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $10,000, the contract with USI Consultants. E, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $294,230, contract with BFNS for design of Main Street improvements. F, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $37,176, Whitestown Parkway full depth patching. G, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $37,770, Whitestown wastewater treatment plant plumbing improvements. H, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $16,000, wayfinding initial visioning proposal. I, consider expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $35,000, fixtures for Panther Park restrooms. J, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $6,700, additional door lock readers. K, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $7,750, work performance evaluation. L, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $144,000, defibrillator replacement purchase. M, consider an expenditure exceeding $5,000, not to exceed $7,500, Station 272 Headquarters Pond Fountain. And N, approval of interlocal agreement with the Advance for training of officers.
I will second the motion, and I do have some comments. I want to make sure that everyone understands. Item I, fixtures for Panther Park restrooms, I think that's something that I just want to note. That item seems a little bit larger than what it would have been in the past because it's not just normal fixture replacement. As you may have seen on the news, we had some vandalism at Panther Park restrooms just recently, and we are unfortunately in a situation where those individuals have caused enough damage that we have to have fixed the fixtures and do some replacements. So we were spending a little bit more on that particular facility than what we anticipated during our budgeting period, simply because vandalism is occurring. And that's something that, I've been talking with Jason and with Nathan, the parks team, and the Chief Ralston on how can we address that? What can we do to make sure that this is something that we can stave off in our parks? So I just want to let everyone know, not just that we're taking care of our facilities when they're damaged, but we're also being more proactive to try and prevent this from happening in the future. All right. Any other comments on the consent agenda? All right, we've got motion and seconds. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Next, move on to unfinished business. Consider adoption of 2022 budget ordinance 2021-29. Pull that one up. There we go. Ordinance 2022-29. This is our ordinance for appropriations and tax rates for the coming year. I would move the adoption of ordinance 2022-29.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the budget? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Next, we have consider adoption of patch super voluntary annexation ordinance 2021-24. Ordinance 2021-24, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, annexing territory to the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the Town of Whitestown. Patch super voluntary annexation. Nathan, is there anyone signed up to speak from the representing Patch, the petitioner?
No one signed up to speak on that.
All right.
They're in attendance, so if you do have any questions.
Any questions for the petitioner requesting super voluntary annexation? Any further discussion on the ordinance? I move the adoption of ordinance 2021-24.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Next, we move on to new business. We have a first read only for the Hannah annexation ordinance 2021-30. Pull that one up. Here we go. Ordinance 2021-30, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, annexing territory to the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, and placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the Town of Whitestown. Hannah super voluntary annexation. All right. That is first read. I believe next month we'll have the fiscal policy resolution and the public hearing on the annexation. And then if that continues forward, then in December or thereafter, we can have the second and final read of ordinance 2021-30. Next, move on to first read only, ordinance 2021-32, the 2022 salary ordinance. hold on. I didn't open that one up. Ordinance 2021-32, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whiteson, Indiana, establishing wages and salaries for 2022. All right. Apologies all. I'm using a new computer tonight, so I'm a little rusty. Next, we move on to first read only, alley vacation ordinance, ordinance 2021-31. Ordinance 2021-31, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whiteson, Indiana, vacating an unimproved street and alley within the Town of Whitestown. Steve, if you could remind us all, I think it's been a little bit since we vacated an alley, what the next steps in the process are.
Notice will be published in the newspaper and also sent to, there's the petitioner, then there was one other property owner that had, that was adjacent to one of the alleys. They will be sent notice via certified mail, and then we will hold a public hearing at the November council meeting, and then after that council meeting, it would be, the council could consider any time after that for adoption.
Okay. Questions for Steve on the process for the alley vacation? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. Item D, consider a resolution approving an updated Title VI Implementation Plan Resolution 2021-35. Town of Whiteson, Indiana Resolution number 21-35, a resolution approving an updated Title VI Implementation Plan. I will move the adoption of Resolution 2021-35.
Second.
Motion second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Next, we've got item E, consider approval of Becknell Industries rezone ordinance, ordinance 2021-33. Ordinance 2021-33, an ordinance amending zoning maps within the zoning ordinance of the Town of Whiteson, Indiana, zoning maps amendments PC 20-053-ZA. Nathan, do we have the petitioner here this evening?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. Joe Calderon representing Becknell Industries. Blair Carmesino's here as well in case you have any questions. This comes to you as kind of one big parcel and several small parcels, Whitestown Parkway and 475 East. This what comes to you certified following with a favorable 6-0. We are seeking zoning to the I-1 district to provide for light industrial, principally warehouse building. There were some considerations provided to the town as part of the conversations, including location of easement for sewer line and some projected road improvements along 475 East that'll come in. Do you want to say anything about the other couple of owners? If you've looked at the maps, you'll see that there are a few owners that were not part of this zoning, but Mr. Carmesino has been working with at least 2 of them, so I'll let him give you a quick update.
Go ahead.
Yes, good evening. For the record, Blair Carmesino, Becknell Industrial. Yes, at the Planning Commission, there were 2 residents that we had yet to reach terms with, but I'm happy to note that we met with them yesterday, had very good conversations, and they remonstrated against the petition on the sole basis that we hadn't come to terms, but we're not done yet, but we had favorable conversations. I think we're down to just minor points, and I'm optimistic that we'll have the last 3 remaining parcels along that stretch that we've talked through with the town in advance of this under contract shortly. So I appreciate your consideration and time this evening. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do get those, we're likely to be back here with a separate petition. But we think this does fit within your comprehensive plan and the surrounding conditions, and happy to answer any questions any of you as council members may have.
All right, thank you. Questions from council for the petitioner? All right. Nathan, is Todd on the Zoom?
Yes, I've just asked him to unmute.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening, Todd. Any input you have on this project concerning the comprehensive plan since you're going through the update process?
Yeah. So yeah, we're looking at the up for review and consideration. We believe this is consistent with obviously the growth that's happened there, and will likely be consistent with the recommendations that come out of the future land use of the
All right, thank you, Todd. I'm pretty sure what I heard there is that it's consistent with what we have today and what we're going to have in the future, and that's why it came with a positive recommendation from the commission and from staff. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Todd. All right, further discussion from the council on this ordinance. Reminder that since this is a zoning ordinance, it is a singular read, so we can adopt it this evening. Good with it?
I wish you could have come and said you had those other two as part of this evening. Can I ask them to point out for me
Sure.
which are the other two that you're working with? I noticed. Is it these two?
Okay. All right.
There's a lot of details in the negotiations, but the good thing is I think we're all talking the same thing, pending details of how the purpose agreement is.
Okay. All right. With that, I would offer a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-33. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I've got a motion, a second. Is there further discussion on the ordinance?
Could I ask petitioner one more question?
I'll allow it.
Would you allow that? Are you making, I'm not sure if I see in here any commitments to helping those two that are absolutely not part of this to be a little buffeted
Yes.
Could you share that with me?
Our development plans, which you'll see as a part of the public hearing process of that, will include a fence, 8-foot high fence or screening. We've altered the development plan to put the 30, I can't remember the exact setback, but we have best attempted to respect their property boundaries. And you'll see with the final development plans, there is greenway screening in there. Right, and we're committed to work with them to do the best we can towards letting them enjoy their property as they wish, so.
I appreciate that, thank you.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. Thank you all. Next, we'll move on to item F, consider a joint resolution with Worth Township Advisory Board amending fee schedule for emergency ambulance services, resolution 2021-36. Chief Westrich.
Good evening. As you have in front of you is a rate comparison spreadsheet that we've come up with. Our ambulance billing service has not adjusted its rates since its inception at the end of 2015.
Wow.
So it's been a good solid 5 years since we've made any adjustments to our rates. We took the time to look at a regional aspect as well as our needs. And what you see in that spreadsheet is the averages of each county surrounding us, Henderson County, Hamilton County, and Marion County, as far as their transport services. And you'll find that if you look at the details there, we took out Marion County because of the vast difference in their fees that they are charging. We didn't feel that was right and fit with our needs. So we came up with the averages overall and then compared those to our rates and adjusted our rates accordingly. And I think one of the more important things to look at here is our EMS fund does supply apparatus, equipment, and just everything that the service entails, with the exception of personnel. So this doesn't even come close to covering every single aspect of providing the service.
Right.
But it definitely will help as things have not gotten any cheaper over the years.
Right. And so with this, if I'm understanding correctly, as you said, it's been 5 years since these fees have been addressed. These fees only offset a portion of the cost for this service that's being provided. And these fees are charged to the insurance of the individual utilizing the service?
Correct.
Okay. You looked at others to make sure your rates were comparable with other areas. And with the ambulance service, we currently have one ambulance in service, and there are plans in the very near future to bring another one online, correct?
Correct. As long as everything goes through budget-wise, we are planning to put in service the second ambulance next year.
And so these fees that are going to be charged to health insurance companies and paid to us to go to support the continued use of the ambulance service, and so that we can keep those different apparatus fully stocked with supplies, materials necessary, so when the ambulance has to respond to those situations, it's well prepared and equipped to be able to handle the situation and provide that service to residents, right?
That's correct.
And when we discussed it at the fire board, we just approved $144,000 in equipment, and some of that's going to be for the EMS, right? So people aren't getting less expensive, the equipment's not getting less expensive. We want to stay state of the art, as much as we can to be able to take care of people in time of need as well. So cover the cost. All those reasons why it was unanimous from the fire board for an approval.
Thank you.
Or for a recommendation of the council.
No, and I completely agree. I think that's the right track. So we want to make sure that our EMS service is set up and equipped to be able to handle those situations, because when you're responding, you don't have time to think about, do I have the right supplies? Do I have the right tools available? You want to make sure that you're equipped and ready to go. So when you are on scene and faced with whatever situation, you're able to handle it and take care of it, because that could be the difference between someone having that ride to a medical facility and having their life saved versus not having the right equipment and tools available and them not making the ride. So I think that's very important for us to make sure we're providing this community. All right, any other questions for Chief? All right, thank you, Chief. Councilman Wishick, any other comments you want to add as being one of our representatives to the fire board?
No, I just did, one other thing. I did like the part where the residents do get a little bit of a price break with it to take care of our residents that are here.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a price difference for residents to try to keep it minimal compared to non-residents. Mm-hmm. So that is another bonus that I like on that as well.
Great. All right. And my understanding is that since because of the interlocal agreement and the fire contract, the Ward Township Advisory Board will have to adopt the exact same resolution, and that they have a meeting next week to finalize their budget process as well, and that the trustee has assured the chief that he will have that on the agenda for the advisory board to take action on, which one of the advisory board members already serves on the fire board and gave it their positive recommendation, so hopefully one more says yes, and we're all good to go. All right, with that, will of the council on this resolution?
I'd make a motion that we approve the joint resolution 2021-36 of the Whitestown Town Council, amending the fee schedule for emergency ambulance services.
I'll second the motion. Further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. And that brings us to item G, consider resolution concerning the 3-year growth appeal, resolution 2021-37. Where's that one? Here we go. Resolution 2021-37, be it resolved by the Whitestown Town Council, Boone County, whereas the council finds it it will be unable to carry out the governmental functions committed to it by law under the property tax levy limitations of Indiana 6-1.1-18.5-3. 2, the council resolves that it must appeal to the Department of Local Government Finance for relief from the limitations stated in Section 1 due to a 3-year growth appeal. 3, this resolution hereby supersedes any previous resolutions enacted by this council concerning the above referenced property tax levies and excess levy appeals adopted by Whitestone Council, Boone County, Indiana, this 13th day of October 2021. As part of our budget process, as our growth has been, again, this is the 8th or 9th year in a row that Whitestone has been the fastest growing community with the property tax caps and levy restrictions and the lag that we're now seeing in income taxes based on state collection. We have done the 3-year growth appeal for several years in a row so that it right sizes our revenue and expenses to make sure that we're able to maintain our services and our rate of service. As we talked about at the budget meetings, we forecast based on where our growth in our services are lining up that next year we should be able to, or the year after, if there's anything that goes wrong, we should be able to stop needing the 3-year growth appeal and finally start to level out so that we've caught up and that we're able to move forward from that perspective. So this, I believe, is going to be one of, if not the last year in which we'll need the 3-year growth appeal to make sure that we're able to provide the services the residents require.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2021-37.
I'll second.
Got a motion and seconds. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. And that brings us to the end of the agenda. Is there any other business to come before the council at this time? All right. Hearing none, I'll offer a motion that we do now adjourn.
Second.
Motion second for discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's adopted. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.